record. All right. You see what I see?
Oh, 1 second.
All right.
Yep, I do.
We come in here, and this isn't it. What is? Is it this? Yeah. So it's a little bit effed up in my opinion. We got menu button. Uh, Actually, I will run this scene to show you what it does. I don't think it'll work. Dang it. Settings. I don't remember what the settings button is. That didn't work. All right. Loading. I spelled loading wrong. Oh, it
Baldric
crashed.
the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
Invalid I don't know, some invalid syntax. String and array and operator. So you're trying to add a string and an array, I think.
Oh. Yeah.
Let's see. Did you go on 0 on those stack frames?
I'm sorry.
On your stack frames? What's 0? On set aspects?
Set aspects. Right here.
It's in your debugger. Yeah, click on that. So what is the anima equal to? Oh, bring that back up. The
Oh, I'm
debugger.
sorry.
No, it was still there. Now it's canceled. I don't know. Just trigger it again.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
All right.
All right. So you see the debugger panel.
It's set to
Yeah.
array.
So you're adding a array to text. So click on Stanima. Click on that. Or no, in your debugger. In your debugger panel under locals. Yeah. And what's that from hand?
Farmhand. It's the aspect.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I guess you want to grab the 0 index, I guess. I don't know if that's you're intending it to have indexes, but I guess 0 would work there. Not not sure why, or I'm not sure how everything's set up, but
Yeah, but if you
that
have more than one aspect, how will I display all of them?
oh, uh, do you make a loop?
So I need to
Uh,
stop
how
and
you
make a
have
loop.
the for each loop. So new line and yeah, you say for uh aspect base n space stm colon and then index the next line, or I mean indent that line, and it's not And instead of STM aspect, just put an aspect.
Put what?
Aspect.
Okay.
Yep. That should work. There's a way to get the key too, but I'll grab the element for it. Or at least from my memory. But those feeling a little foreign to me.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
The graphics are so much better now that I have a graphics card.
Oh really?
So eventually I want to fix the bug with the display text. It doesn't display long enough and things like that.
Dare awaken I, Zord.
Does it where does it draw the aspects at?
Under settings, but I don't know what the settings button is.
Oh.
um, Let me look. Oh, it's C. All right.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
Which it's not working. It's not letting him look at his settings.
Oh. Is the
Oh, he needs a token.
Add a breakpoint to where you press the settings button. So I'm guessing that's line 15.
No, it's because he doesn't have any tokens.
Oh.
We'll just remove that for now. Because the thing is I made it the level up settings tab.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, Kurt. I'll show you.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
So it didn't work.
And one thing, well, it don't really matter. I guess you can do it in input. Guess that works too. What node is that? Should be coming up. Oh, that one.
Yeah. I think it's in the wrong node.
I
No. Should be right.
Add a breakpoint into that. Make sure that's triggering.
Okay.
Because I don't even know if that goes running or not. Under that, if.
Baldric the Pure.
So like, if you got a breakpoint, then play it. Does it stop there? No, if you play it and try it.
What if it's not settings? Okay, it's spelled right.
Yeah, just to check. I never know. But just to make sure that's running.
Baldric awakens in
okay.
a darkened dungeon.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I guess you could remove that. The panel settings. Is anything? Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense. So that's not working right now. I take it. Oh.
No.
Wait. So you're setting panel settings, then panel inventory stats.
Yeah, because I wanted them to be able to be activated at different times.
Oh, okay, that's still on the top. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Alright. That does not work. Let me see. This is weird. This is a tricky.
I'll go ahead and toggle it to be visible
Oh.
and see if that helps.
I wonder. So I sometimes have trouble with input doing this. What if it's running twice?
Could be.
Because then it would turn it
Baldric
on and
the
back off.
Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
So setting it by
So-
default to visible didn't help.
So show a debug message there. I forget how you do it. It's not that. It's yeah, print. Yeah, see if that pops up twice. I think it might. It's just some way how it works that's confusing.
Baldric the Pure
No, you only
awakens
did
in
it
a
once.
darkened dungeon.
Okay. And what if you just set it to false? I mean true. Just set it to true. Maybe we just understand the syntax wrong or something.
I don't think it's visible. Like when I started it as true, it didn't work.
Baldric
Yeah,
the
see? I don't think it's in the scene. So we go into rooms.
What error message?
Uh-oh. Alright. Well, oh.
Oh.
This will make it work. Yeah, obviously.
You're gonna have to pass that.
Yeah. And then.
Yeah, I should have thought. How do you search for that variable? I should have thought that. Because obviously something's being told to do something. It's not. Actually.
That's hilarious. It was setting it to 0. Okay.
There's right above it.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
Alright.
How long did that take us?
I don't know. So I'll go ahead and go into. We're going to do some cheating. Go into stats, farmer, and give us a token. We need a token to be able to level up.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
It won't let me exit the lock mode. And it didn't work.
So what's supposed to happen here with your tokens?
Well, when you kill the bad guy, you get a token.
Okay. Oh, and then you can level up with it, and that screen's supposed to come up.
Yeah.
And where does it trigger that?
Right here.
Okay. So it happens when you're dead?
Happens when the skeleton's dead.
Where does it detect your token increment? I guess.
I don't know.
Or
let's see. This is get tokens, but it's spelled wrong. Let's see. Get token. Apparently, I don't even have a token.
oh no.
Because it's under here. Huh. It's in the HUD.
Oh.
It's gotta be.
And how are the tokens stored?
Right here.
Where are they stored at? Oh, in the HUD? Okay.
Oh, you know, this is spelled wrong, and that's not gonna let it work. Because this is just get tokens.
But they must be spelled consistently at least.
And then if you have...
I knew I heard the dog. I kept thinking I heard breathing. I wasn't sure where it was from. I kept looking over and hear the dog's under me. Because I'm eating food. It just keeps breathing.
And then this is where the token happens. This is with the menu button.
What? Menu button? Oh.
HUD.
What is this
set
menu
aspects, button? Make visible target. Okay. I don't know. The menu button lets you pick aspects.
Okay. And are you able to get this menu up at all?
I was able to before.
Up. You were? Okay. And this is activated by getting called on item pressed?
There's no there's no use of the token right now.
So I guess you still have to implement it?
I don't know what I'm doing, Kurt.
How's it supposed to get triggered?
I don't understand either. I was working on it and it worked before, and now it doesn't.
How was it working before?
I have no clue.
Because I don't even understand how it's... Like, not in the code, just in the game. Like, what is the player supposed to see? What's supposed to happen there?
You're supposed to level up. You get a single token, you hit C, and then you can invest in...
So that comes up when you bring up your menu. When you bring up
that menu. That is the button. Okay. Okay, I was confused. I thought it had an arrow next to it. Alright, we'll get it to work. But the mouse doesn't let appear on screen.
Really now.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
See how there's no mouse?
Oh, so you wanted to make it show the mouse?
Yeah, how do I do that?
Input. Well, it depends. Where are you gonna turn it on?
here.
Okay. So maybe after you set the visibility for
Okay.
those. All right, now check if that's visible.
If what's visible?
The panel settings. And you're gonna want to indent that. Yep. And then capital I input dot something. Set capture mode, I think. Whatever it comes with. No. Mouse. Set mouse. In lowercase. Yep. Enter. There. Now you want it visible. And then else capture. Oh, I mean input set mouse mode. Input mode mouse capture. I'm sorry. Take it, Jax. I need look, Jax. Go lay down. No. No. This will make you fart and you'll stink if you eat it. I need another flashback.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
Alright.
No, it didn't work.
Alright, so don't change anything yet. So attempt to call function sat aspects and null. Oh, so the HUD, that HUD reference I think is invalid. Yeah, HUD is null. So some reason the HUD isn't right. I don't think that's do you have a reference of it anywhere? Like in some
Right here.
like in auto load notes? Well, that
No.
reference isn't gonna help. Isn't gonna work. Is it a parent?
HUD is right there.
It's a parent, right? Okay, so you get parent then.
Baldric the Pure
Sorry, I keep
awakens
losing.
in
I
a
forget where you're
darkened
at. You're gonna have
dungeon.
to set HUD to get parent. Yep. Yep. Try that.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
Texture
Now
rack.
non-existent functions, aspects, and texture rec. There's texture rec. Sorry, set aspects.
Right here.
Oh.
It didn't go far enough back.
Okay, let me. Oh.
The script is right here.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out why it was referencing texture rec.
It needs to get the grandparent.
Oh, well, if you want to get a parent of the parent, just call get parent again on it. A little lost, but hopefully you're not as lost. Right?
I know my base code.
Baldric the Pure awakens
Yay!
in a darkened dungeon.
It says defensive. Offensive. Oh, it didn't. Anyways. Now. into here.
Whoa.
And these are the aspects I want to be able to add.
Cool.
Will you help me with just like like basic one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with farmhand +1. I want it so whenever I pick that aspect, it updates the stats accordingly. So increased strength.
Okay. Um. It goes off item text.
So it'd be here.
Let's, let's store a like maybe hmm,
If we go into stats,
pretty
we
much
could always
pretty
make
much
it.
we're gonna want to store. Well, either you're gonna copy the string or you can just store the string. So
Yeah,
let's make
I was
make
doing
it big.
this. I was using hashes for
Oh, you were?
aspects.
You can do that too.
Yeah. Would that work?
Yeah, does it have the +1 in it, or will you have to add that?
I would add that. So it would be 2. So it would basically be this.
And you're gonna just add a +1 to it.
Dang it. OBS is being a butthead. Let me go in here. Disable that. Alright, there we go. Yeah, and then just hit +1, right? And then this would become 2.
Yeah, you don't.
Actually, I think I would leave it as 1, correct?
No, I don't think you would store it. Let's not store it in like that.
Okay, how should I store it?
How about you remove that and then go back? I think we should be able to, because you're getting the item tag. So we could probably only check part of it. Like it doesn't need. It
No,
doesn't
but you
need to
already
check
have
everything.
farmhand. Farmhand's already a thing. Does that make sense, Kurt?
Well, you're gonna have to check.
I'm trying
What
to
is
tell
that?
you, you already start with farmhand. See?
Okay.
You start with that aspect. That's your starting class. And my thinking was we would just make it farmhand +1 and then just add 1 to it.
Well, you shouldn't have to add +1 to it though. You don't have to check if it's directly if it's exactly the same. It just has to have like part of it. Like just part of it has to be the same.
Well, really, it needs to affect the
Sure.
stat for the body.
And if you go back to that other script,
This one?
yeah. So on item price gets called, and then it sets aspects on the HUD. What is set? What does set aspects do?
On HUD, it does in here. This.
Okay, so for oh, okay, so it just does that.
Yeah.
But you're wanting to make that button so it actually applies to the stat itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could do it in this function too.
No, let's do it in the menu button.
Okay, we can do it there then.
Alright, I'll start a new function in here. I just use STM for everything. Alright.
And then pretty much what we're gonna want to do is yeah, you can call it there. Oh, and then there's IDs too. Uh, hmm. So, I think here. Does add item return a ID? If you control and click on add item under pop up, does that return you an ID? Oh,
Returns.
oh, it's a void.
Yeah.
It's a little annoying because each of these have an ID. Where's the ID at?
Oh,
Is it in
that's event item pressed. So we go into the scene.
the IDs are stored in the nodes?
It's a node. So we click here. Item pressed. One of
Would it
these
be
is
in
it.
an inspector? Is there an ID in there?
No, there are no IDs. It's
Or-
just
or-
I followed your tutorial, Kurt. I have no clue how it works.
Alright.
Sorry.
Um,
I just know that this is a function.
but you see that function's passing an ID. I
Yeah.
just thought it would. I just guess I assumed. I think it counts in order. So I got a feeling the first one's 1, second one's 2, and the next one's 3. It's just annoying that you have to keep track of that yourself. But I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Well, because it's pop-up menu, right?
So here on item pressed, can you print out the ID? Maybe instead of messing with strings, we can just use the ID.
Okay.
We'll just map it.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
Okay, so what is ID? So ID is 0. And if you click on the next one down would be 1, I guess. If you click on a fence. This is giving you
0 for that one.
yep, the fence is 1. Okay. Or wait, no, this is inconsistent, is it? Because it
Yeah.
takes it out. Is it always consistent? Like was
I-
logic 2?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's find out.
Alrighty.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened
Yeah,
dungeon.
logic's 2.
Here, try it the reverse way too. Start with the first one, then go down.
Okay.
Just to see. Make sure it doesn't say 0, 0, 0. So just keep picking the first one here.
Baldric the Pure awakens in a darkened dungeon.
1.
Except it removed logic.
Huh. And the next 2 are 1 for some reason.
Well, because it removed logic, Kurt.
Oh. But regardless, though, those IDs weren't consistent, though, right?
Yeah, they weren't consistent.
So we can't. So those won't work. So okay, I wasn't sure. So I guess we're gonna have to use text. So let me see what the string function is over here.
It's get item text.
Oh, I know that, but I'm saying we're gonna just copy, just check like part of the string, but not the whole thing, so you don't have to worry about adding the +1. But is it always gonna be +1?
For this,
Two?
only for this.
Okay. Um, here. Let me see. I'm sure it'd be something like there. I might be slightly off track, but okay. When you said aspects, you just wanted to add one to it. So yeah, I think it would be best if that was consistent. Here, and I don't know. Maybe I'll try to share my screen here. No, I forgot the hotkey. See where's Discord at? Okay. You can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see here. I'm gonna have to test this first. Whoa. Oh, am I sharing the wrong desktop?
I think so. All I see is your Discord.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, here, I'll switch the screens. I'll just do this. Okay. I think that should be right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. So, what was I like? We'll just as a placeholder. So we have like farmhand +1. And then we want to see like this is get ID. So another thing we can do is might be easier. Thinking.
But the whole system uses a hash, Kurt.
Only thing is you're just trying to just remove that get one. So let's see, you could also do this. Easy with.
Why do we have to erase +1? You already have farmhand, Kurt. You need a new farmhand. I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. I don't know, I'm lost a little bit.
You seem
Okay.
a little lost. I'm trying to explain myself. So, you start off as a farmhand, but I'm saying you get farmhand +1 as an option to level up with.
Yeah.
Does that not make sense?
But see, where I'm hung up is. Oh, so you want multiple farmhands +1s? You're not trying to
Just a
increment them or
+1.
anything.
Or we could even replace. It should replace the old one. It's hard to explain because it's the main class. Here, I'll use a comment. This is the main class. these are utility aspects. Does that make it's hard to explain the system because it's not standard D&D. So in stats, if we go into stat based farmer, you are a
But see,
farmhand,
like,
right?
line 28. Are you trying to change farmhand? So once you do +1, is farmhand going to be 2
Yeah,
on line 28?
yeah,
Okay. So I think I understand this right.
yeah.
The only the only thing that kind of gets challenging is now how do you reference the text with so the text you have is farmhand
Oh,
+1. I
got
was
it.
just going to try to convert the farmhand +1 to just the farmhand, so then you can just increment that.
Okay,
That's all.
so we should probably
That's what I was
do
doing.
erase.
That might be one way to do it.
Is that what you were thinking?
That might be you might go to
How come I
erase
can't
the
click it?
last three. It's well, I was trying to do it in a more kind of grounded way where it would be more less acceptable to errors. So that's what I was doing.
Okay. How do you
But
use erase?
and one way would to do that is if you just have actually if you just had a dictionary, that would be one way of doing it. But I might be able to just I don't know. I'm thinking here. Which I guess you could just do a switch and just do it that way. Yeah, that would work. If you're fine with the, you could either store the farmhand +1 in a variable maybe, and then just reference that, or you could just literally just copy and paste the strings and match them like that too. Either one of those two works.
Uh,
So here, like a dictionary would look like
so this would be aggressive.
what is an at item? So there's the label.
It's a pop-up menu.
Actually, here, go back to the add item. Look in the. Can you bring up the? Yeah, there you go.
ID is right here.
ID. So you can manually set the ID, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. That could be useful.
It'd be like
So-
0.
Yeah. And yeah, you can definitely hard code it like that. I think in such automated ways, it gets kind of ridiculous maybe, or at least not necessary.
Right. It
So,
might not work
That
fully.
definitely works though. That'll work.
Yeah.
You'll just have to check those IDs. Now I think those should be being passed in IDs consistently now. So like every time you click on was it offensive, that should always be the same number now. It should always be
Right.
aggressive. So aggressive should always be 2 now. From my understanding. And then you can add just like the +1 or whatever.
Do I need a +1 for each one?
Oh. Me, if you want it there or not, it don't matter.
Not
It don't
really.
matter. It don't matter what the text is there because we're just gonna use the IDs. So just whatever you prefer.
All right, I got it.
And you can manually check it that way.
It'll just be this for now.
Okay. And I think it would be easier. Hmm.
I mean, this is very much not a final product for how it should work.
Okay.
Because eventually you want to have like the next level of farmhand and the next level of defensive and so on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So like farmhand isn't always like +1.
Yeah.
It could be +2, and then isn't this dependent on what class you are too?
Farmhand is your class for now, but once you get to level 3, you can pick a new class.
Oh, and then they'll be different.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a way to like pass functions. Pretty much you can use the call to call a function, but no. But I think pretty much just using those numbers to find out which thing to increment on item press. You could also maybe make a. Though the enum I don't think would be flowable. I'm not sure.
So if we go into stats,
What?
here's some of the
Okay.
ability checks and database and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Which some of this you're going to have to go into the players node to change, or the stats. You're gonna have to,
Mm.
it's going to have to be done through the player class. Does that make sense, Kurt?
You're gonna have to make changes to the player class.
Yeah, does that make sense?
I'm a little lost.
You're lost. I'm sorry.
That's alright.
I'm trying to tell you, when we set the aspect, right? It doesn't actually apply it to the player yet. We come in here and there is no on ready what the player class is. It's only getting and setting aspects. So if we come in here, this never gets applied to the player.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. That's why we're using apply aspects.
Yeah, we need an on ready function to get the player node.
Okay.
Or get the player. How do I get the player's stat block?
It has the player has that is this the player in the player group?
Yeah,
Like
this,
if you look under node and groups, it's in player.
yeah.
It's beside the inspector panel. It's in its lowercase. Oh, you'd have to go to the scene though.
Oh, over here, yeah.
The player node. Yeah.
It's hero.
Yep. Yeah, click on that. And then go into the node panel. Then groups. Alright, go to the scene for the player. So beside hero one, the little you can do it from there too. Yep. Alright, now click on hero one and go back there. Okay, add a player to the group. It's all lowercase. This is how I normally do it. Yep, add. Alright, now if you go to the HUD, you can but you make a function called get player.
In here under HUD?
Yep. And then there's like bar node equals
get tree. Yep. Then a period after the parenthesis. Just type in groups, lowercase, see what comes up. No. Maybe get underscore. Nodes. Yep, in group. And then just type in player all lowercase. Yep. And then go down, new line. And F get player. I mean if node dot size is greater than 0. And then yep. Return node 0. The 0 index. Yep. And then just set that to player variable on ready. I think it should be on ready. I'm not sure.
All right, that's done.
Yeah.
We go in here.
Ow. Cat, what are you doing to me? Yeah, now your paw's stuck in my shirt. Yeah? You gonna take it out? The cat's stuck in me. There you go. What's wrong, Nemo? You this morning, but I guess you have some more food. I guess I'll take you too.
I'm using push right, correct?
I think so. I think that's like pushing a value onto an array.
Cool.
I think. I'm pretty sure.
What time is it, Kurt?
4:52.
All right.
The toys came.
Yeah.
They're loving them.
I gotta take a break.
Okay.
And then